Hello, this is Julianne of Leafling Learns. Welcome to the second part of my Yiddish learning journey vlogs, my first ever encounters with Yiddish. I'm continuing on to the next few weeks of Worker Circle Yiddish classes in this video. I reached out to the Worker Circle and they very graciously offered to let me into the classes in exchange for, recording my experience. So these are my honest opinions. This is my real, true lived experience. It's not sponsored in the sense of I'm getting paid. I am not getting paid. With that aside, I have a previous video where you see me take my very first Yiddish lessons where I know literally zero. These are the next few weeks of those two classes where I'm starting to kind of get the swing of things a little bit. Before we jump right into it, I want to let you all know that the Worker Circle is now open for registration for their summer classes. So if you are watching this in real time, the summer classes begin at the end of June 2022, okay? So now is the time to sign up. The link is in the description. If you're interested in jumping into a Yiddish class, there are a lot of different types of Yiddish classes, and they also now have beginners Ladino for the first time, which is awesome. So check that out. The summer courses are starting soon. I have only had the best experience so far. It's been a lot of fun and I definitely recommend them. But you can see for yourself what the classes are like if you keep watching. If you're watching in the future, just go to the website, circle.org/Yiddish, and I'm sure there are classes ongoing or classes starting soon. Now let's check out how the next few weeks of Yiddish went for me. It is week 4 of Yiddish now. Conjugation has been a little bit difficult for me. I'm not used to conjugating to like first, second, third person, and number of people, but I'm making a lot of progress with the alphabet. So that's good news.
Shalom Aleichem, Julianne.
Aleichem Shalom.
Was hält sich? Was hält sich? Was machst du? Was machst du? Was hält sich?
Okay, I've not heard the other one.
Nein, nicht kein Problem, nur. Eine Minute. Gut, was du sagst. Good that you're saying that. Maybe I sometimes get confused. So many classes. Eine Minute. So this is also very common. Instead of asking, was machst du? One can ask, was hält sich? Literally, what is being heard? Something like this. Which doesn't make much sense, but that means...
Heard.
Yeah, heard, yeah, heard, yeah. So it's just like, was machst du? So, Julianne, was hält sich? Gut?
Gut.
Sehr fein. Rachel, Chane und David haben eine Yiddish Lektie. Ja, sie haben eine Lektie und nach der Lektie, after the class, ja, nach der Lektie, sie gehen trinken Kaffee, ja. Was ist Kaffee auf Englisch? Wie sagt man Kaffee auf Englisch?
Coffee.
Ja, Kaffee, ja. Hast du lieb? Do you like? Ja, hast du lieb Kaffee? Ja, ich hab sehr lieb.
Ich hab sehr lieb Kaffee.
Das ist ein Idiom. Haben lieb ist to like. Ja, Kaffee ist eine Addiktie. Für mir ist es eine Addiktie, ja? Ja, danke. Ich trinke Kaffee jetzt. Now, ich trinke Kaffee jetzt. Das ist eine Addiktie, ja. Eine Sachkaffee. 1, 2, 3, 4 Mal. Kaffee. Der Doktor sagt, es ist zu viel.
Ja.
Und du, Julianne, hast du lieb Kaffee?
Nein, ich hab nicht lieb Kaffee, aber ich hab sehr lieb Tee.
Tee ist sehr Geschmack, ja. Und Julianne, could you please read this out loud? Kennst du das vorlesen?
Hanna fragt die Chaverim von wann sie kommen und wo sie wohnen.
Ja, das ist ein Dialog. Hanna fragt, ja, von wann kommst du, ja? Wo wohnst du? Ja, sie schmusen wegen von wann kommst du, wo wohnst du? Ja, David sagt, wohnt in London, aber von wann kommt sein Mischproche, ja? Ein Land zwei Länder, ja, ist wie viele Sprachen redest du, ja?
Wie
Is
viel
class.
Sprachen redest du?
Yiddish ist eine Sprache, ja.
Ist es Sprach?
Yiddish und Ladino sind Sprachen, ja.
Sind Sprachen.
Sprachen, ja. Yiddish und Ladino sind Sprachen. Sprachlernen ist eine Addiktion bei Arzt. Du verstehst eine Sache Französisch, ja. Aber du redest nicht kein Sache, ja. And we didn't see yet in detail how to negate things, how to negate sentences in Yiddish. We're gonna see how this nishkain makes sense. It's what we call a double negation. You're actually saying, but we'll discuss this in the near future. Yeah, we might be tempted to say "ze reden," and many people say that, and it's interesting because comparing with German, you have this reden, yeah, and in Yiddish you have a very characteristical reden. Your whole phoneme, your whole face vibrates. You say reden, just like hoben. Say hoben. Yeah, say hoben, reden. We might be tempted to put a vowel there in the middle, but you don't have this vowel. It's interesting that you ask because reden has a langer nun ending or an n ending in the infinitive. Reden. But we have also a zweite category, a second category of verbs that have not only a n sound at the end, but you have actually a e. You have an e. You have an I in there, and that's the case of voinen. Yeah, when you say voinen, since we have two n's, two nuns, we have to have this vowel between them.
I'm not gonna be late today. Am I disorganized? Yes. Am I late? No.
En een krank oive. Shalom aleichem, Julianne.
Aleichem shalom.
Was hört sich?
Gut, Dank.
Gut. Meinst du euch, als ihr lernt sich a Sach, ja, man macht a Sach Heimarbeit? Ist es zu viel Heimarbeit, Julianne, oder nicht? Nicht zu viel?
Nicht zu viel.
Gut, aber ja, es ist a Sach Heimarbeit. Heimarbeit mit dem Buch, Heimarbeit mit Aleph Beis, a Sach.
Ich wohne euch da, aber mein Mischpoche wohnt in Australien, Russland und Israel. The R is so hard, I can't handle it. Ich red Englisch, Yiddish, Russisch, Hebräisch und ein bisschen Spanisch.
The ear can be either ear, guttural R, yeah, or ear. Also wie in Spanish, ja. Rrr.
Do you have any advice for a very white monolingual American girl trying to pronounce the R's correctly?
Can you do the Spanish R?
No, I cannot.
Can you try it?
I've been trying for like 10 years.
I will think about this and I'll send you all an email about it. It's interesting.
You know, it's kind of more like a D, kind of like a little R flip, but it's not
Yeah, that's
anything.
what it is in Spanish.
Yeah, but I can't do the extended one.
But you can do just say for example, ich red with just one. Ich red.
Ich red.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
What about the swallowy one? How can you do? I just want to hear you do it right now.
Ich red. That vowel with the dot to indicate that this vowel here is most certainly u, and that these other two vowels are a combination. Yeah, they are the zwei vowel, not separate vowels. So in many cases, we're going to use the melupen vowel, which is this vowel with the dot, to indicate that this is u, to make reading easier. But in this specific situation, we don't need this, because for reading this, we see zwei vowel, two vowels, one after the other, and we see a third vowel. We might think, this is a vu, right? This is vu, but this is not vu because we don't have a dot here in the third vowel, indicating that this vowel is a vowel, u. So we read a little further and we see that we have a yud. but it does take some time until you get used to this way of reading, because you're gonna look at this and you're only gonna see that this is v, yeah, and that this is oi. If you recognize both combinations, wo wohnen sie? Sie wohnen da, yeah.
I just wrapped up the fifth beginners one class. Every time I film, at some point the camera overheats and just shuts down. I always lose part of the class, so I didn't capture me reading a longer, he he has us read words as we're learning the Aleph Beis, and there was a line that was long and difficult, and I read it and I did not screw up entirely, and of course that wasn't captured on camera now, was it? We'll just recreate it and pretend it was the glorious moment that I could not capture. I think he had me read it because of all the R moments, the Reish moments in it. So let's just pretend I've never seen this before and I just read it off the cuff and impress everyone. Sie träumt, träumen. Maybe it's just natural to feel like you're putting a P between the M and the T at the end, because that's just kind of what my mouth is doing. Träumt. Sie träumt, träumen. I'm glad we could capture that authentic moment. I have my conversation class tomorrow. You won't have seen a conversation class paired with last week's class because we ended up postponing it. Anyway, class was good. The Heimarbeit, the homework, has been good. There was a supplementary text of some handwritten Yiddish that I got to read. That was really cool. I felt like I did better than I anticipated reading that. It was hard because there were some letters that I've not really paid attention to yet in terms of like cursive writing. So I kind of was using some process of elimination to figure it out, but that's how we do it. We just read stuff and we try to figure it out, and oftentimes we're right. We hope. Yeah, I don't know what we're talking about in our conversation class tomorrow AM, but I guess we'll find out together, you and I. Just an FYI, I'm not late today. Alright, so haters, get off my back. I'm not late. I'm just standing here 3 minutes before. 2 minutes before. I'm not late. I'm tired, but I'm not late to anything, and I never have been, and I never will be. I'm still 1 minute early, so everyone can get off my back. Good morgen.
Wir werden reden wegen me oder men. Me, also wie sagt man? It's like the impersonal pronoun. Me kann nicht wissen. There's no way to know, one can't know. Weiß nicht mit was me ist es. Wer ist
He?
Yeah. Weiß nicht. Weiß is von wissen. Was meint weiß nicht?
He doesn't know?
Yeah. And this one, mit was me ist es? Was meint essen?
To eat?
And essen is to eat, and essen is also food, but in this case, S is actually just the basic S for it. And literally this whole thing means he does not know with what one eats it. Now it's a funny sentence, but that's actually in Yiddish, it's a bit of an idiom. When you want to say that someone doesn't know anything about something, you say, weiß nicht mit was me ist es. Have you noticed the pattern for when it's men and then it says me?
Is it men when it's after the verb?
Yeah, after the conjugated verb.
Mm.
Yeah, very good. Who is mine? Sie is mein Schwester.
She is my sister.
Yeah, very good. Sehr Heus is sehr klein. And Julianne, I don't know if they're new for you.
Mostly, yeah. And for some, I forgot that like this is a thing that language does, because it doesn't do that in Japanese. So I'm just like, oh right, I know his and her. Like I remember those from English.
Wait, was tut man in Japanisch?
They just use a possessive particle. No.
Okay, so it's new for you. So in this case, Ben, do you know? Well, this
Yes.
this does sound kind of like English. Sehr.
There.
Yeah, this is a Heus.
House.
Yeah, and klein.
Yes. Clean.
Klein. No.
Damn it.
It's one of those false Ben Dugedenk's klein.
Small.
Yeah. And maybe you can remember it because it's easy to clean a small house. So klein is small. What happens when what's modified is plural? For all of them, you would add an e. Sie seinen meine Schwester. All right, you want to try this one?
Would that just be they?
Yeah, I'll say.
Okay.
Sie seinen. What would you do here?
Deine Brüder.
Deine, oh, did you actually say it? Brüder.
I know some things.
Oh, sehr schön. Sehr schön. Sehr fine. Brüder, yeah. Ihr geht.
You plural or formal go.
Sehr good. Sehr good. Wir wissen, wer sie ist.
We know
Yeah.
where she is.
Mm.
No.
Hey, Julianne, du weißt.
Who?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who
We
she
know
is.
who she is. Wir wissen, wer sie ist.
I only know that because I hate it.
Entschuldigt, wir haben nicht gesagt Zeit. You remember this one? Entschuldigt, and here we have the kin. Entschuldigt, wir haben nicht gesagt Zeit.
We don't have a lot of time. I don't know what the beginning of it is.
Yeah. We don't have a lot of time, right? Is that what you said, Julian? We don't have a lot of time? Very good. Wow. And the thing with kin is that it's often like a double negative. It sounds like a double negative. The kin is taking the place of a. Wir haben a sagt Zeit, wir haben a sagt Zeit, wir haben nicht kin sagt Zeit. And what does genug mean? Genug. Was it someone in this class that said it's kind of like you're just rearranging the word enough to make genug?
Oh, that was me.
That was you, right? So let's look at some idiomen. A vorm in geen meint as kinzises is nicht da. The thing that's thinking is a vorm. Sounds kind of like English. What is a vorm?
Sounds like which English?
What's a word in English that sounds kind of like a vorm?
Warm.
Yeah, worm.
Oh.
A worm in geen. What's mean geen?
Oh, crane. Horseradish.
Yeah, horseradish. Grain is horseradish. It's it's a big Pesach. Julianne, was tust du Pesach? Do you do something for Pesach?
I literally don't know anything about Jewish holidays, and I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. When we get for Hanukkah, we get those chocolate coins.
I'm familiar with those, yeah.
You don't call those gelt?
I've never seen one in person. I saw it in like Pee-wee's Christmas special, I think.
Oh, really? I didn't know. That's funny. Right, so those are called, people call them gelt. So in Pesach, you have a thing of bitter herb, grain, to remember the bitterness of slavery in Egypt. So a worm in horseradish. Meint, what does a worm in horseradish think? Zis is sweet. Ziser is sweeter. Ziser is an interesting way. It's turning like the adjective into a noun. Ziser is something sweeter. Kin, what's the kin here?
Is that the negative?
Yeah, the negative article.
Okay.
And nishta, nisht is not nishta, not here is not existent. Nishta. Worm in horseradish thinks that there's nothing sweeter. It means that you don't know that there's anything better.
Oh.
Like when you're a worm and you're just in a horseradish, that's your whole life.
Oh.
You don't know that the horseradish is bitter. But the worm thinks it's the sweetest thing.
Oh.
Got it.
Is das a großer Stein oder a kleiner Stein?
Groß.
Groß. Und der Bär, groß oder klein?
Groß. Der Mensch ist klein.
Und
wie sagt man happy?
Zufrieden. Happy. Zufrieden.
Der Bär ist zufrieden.
Oder is glücklich. Glücklich is another way of saying happy. Glücklich.
Glücklich.
Der Bär is hungrig oder nicht hungrig? Hungrig.
Der Bär ist hungrig.
Hungrig.
hungrig. So you saw me asking my teacher for some assistance on pronunciation. That has felt like one of my biggest hurdles with Yiddish, especially the R sound. It has two different ways that you can pronounce it. You can pronounce it with a trill, like the Spanish R, or you can pronounce it like the Hebrew R. And I can kind of do the r, like the trill version, but I have been very interested in doing the more throaty Hebrew version. And after class, Gustavo did send out some videos to help us learn how to pronounce these R's more accurately. And I'm mostly focused on that Hebrew R, so I'll link to the specific video that I watched in the description. I feel like I'm getting closer. I can't do it consistently. The video described it two interesting ways. One of them was saying it's like a g, but like softened. Like you kind of back off the g until it's in in your throat. And then another interesting thing that the video brought up was the fact that consonants are in pairs, like s and z. One of them is voiced, the z is voiced, the s is not. That's kind of over exaggerated there, but so the same is true with ch, and the R sound. They're a pair, and the R sound is voiced. I will attempt to make that happen right now, but I cannot make any guarantees that it's actually going to happen. Ch is the unvoiced, and then whoa, I didn't mean to roll it like that. Ch and r. Ch and r. I don't think I'm ever doing it right. He gave us a list of words that we could try pronouncing, and we could send recordings to him for feedback. It's just like my stuff is so inconsistent. I didn't send him anything to give me feedback on yet. God, this one's hard. This one's the word for language. Sprach. I'm doing the trill there, aren't I? That's hard because it's right next to the P. Sprach. I did it again. Sprach. We're going to move on to reden, which is how I would do it with a trill, nice and soft. Reden. Okay, we're going to try the G thing that video talked about. Something like that. I can feel it travel back into my throat. Reden. I don't know. It's a work in progress, but at least I kind of have a road map there. Thank you, Gustavo. And you may have noticed Gustavo was in the comments of the last video. He does have a wonderful YouTube channel filled with all sorts of Yiddish stuff. So be sure to check that out. I will link to it in the description. I should just send him audio for feedback. But again, I can't recreate anything anywhere close to the same way as the first time I did it. So what am I supposed to do? He could tell me, okay, that one sounded good. And it's like, okay, great. I don't know how to do that again. I just am doing random stuff all the time. It's fine. It's fine.
Und Shalom Aleichem, Julianne. Bist du vernommen die Woche?
Nicht vernommen. Or ich bin, or would it be past tense, which I don't know. Ich bin nicht vernommen.
Du bist nicht vernommen. Das ist gut. Und ja, morgen ist Pesach, ja. Morgen ist Yontif. Und was tut ihr morgen? Ja, und du, Julianne, was tust du morgen? Wirst du essen als Sache gefüllte Fisch oder nicht?
Wie sagt man nothing?
Gar nicht. Oh, nee. No, gar nicht. Gar nicht ist echt gut. Ja, meine Studenten sagen, oi weh, morgen ist Pesach und mein Haus ist ein Balagan. Ja, ihr wisst, was ist Balagan? Mess. Ja, mein Haus ist ein Balagan. Ich darf kochen, ich darf organisieren, ja. Julianne, kannst du das vorlesen, bitte?
I'm also gonna try just reading.
Bitte,
Yiddish.
bitte.
Und Hannah is a bissel oh, too many consonants. Frustriert,
Frustriert?
weil sie Vater versteht nicht als.
Ja. Was ist frustriert?
Frustrated?
Ja, sie ist frustriert, ja, weil sie versteht nicht alles. She doesn't understand everything, ja. Und sie ist ein bisschen frustriert, ja, sie versteht nicht alles. Hannah ist ein Anheber, ja, und sie ist ein bisschen frustriert. Und das ist normal, ja. Wir lernen sich eine Sprache, ja, wir lernen sich eine neue Sprache, eine new language, ja. Und wir verstehen nicht alles und wir sind ein bisschen frustriert, aber das ist normal, ja. Wenn wir sind kleine Babys, ja, wir verstehen nicht Englisch, ich verstehe nicht Portugiesisch, ja. Das ist normal. We have in Yiddish the verb lernen, but we also have the verb lernen sich, ja. What is the difference between lernen and lernen sich? Whereas lernen, if we don't have any more context, if we're just looking at the verb self lernen, we would think of to teach, ja. Die Frau lernt Yiddish, she teaches Yiddish, yeah? And lernen sich is only to study. Lernen can, however, be also used as study. So that's why it can be confusing. Lernen, we usually think of teach, but it can also be study. And I'll write this here. Whereas lernen sich can only be study. The sich would be something like self. Yeah, it's a reflexive article. A bissele, ja. Nicht kein Sach, not much, aber a bissele Grammatik. Und we saw es ist do a man, es ist do a Frau, yeah? And what does es ist do mean? Es ist do, literally, the S is the personal pronoun, yeah? It is, and this do part, what does do mean? Do means here, but the whole expression is equivalent to, in English, there is. It might be weird at first that in English we say there is, and in Yiddish we say here instead of there, yeah? But when we say there is, we're not really thinking about there. We're thinking about there is as an expression, yeah? As a whole. And that's how I would advise you to look at es ist do. Es ist do as being a whole, yeah? How do you make that plural? You just have to change the verb to be. Because es ist do, there is. If we want to make that plural, we got to put the is in plural. And what is the plural of the verb to be? Seinen or seinen, yeah? We have these two options. They are interchangeable, yeah? So if you say es seinen do or es seinen do, was ist das auf Englisch? Es seinen do, there are.
Es seinen do Menschen in class?
Ja, dank. A sach Menschen, ja. Ein Mensch, es ist do a Mensch. A sach, es seinen do Menschen in class. There are, you know. There are people. But yeah, I remember when I started to learn English, I would ask the teacher, why is it there? We're not talking about there. Why is it there are, there is? Das ist Meshuggah. Because auf Yiddish, it's here. When you really want to say there are here or there are there, you have to say the do again. You have to say the do actually twice, because this es is do, you look at it as a whole, as one expression, and this do here doesn't really mean anything. Do really being here.
Wie sagt man gossip?
Ah, rechiles. Ja, rechiles. Das ist... And I would even go further and not say just rechiles, because rechiles is gossip, but in Yiddish we have, not only in Yiddish, we have what's called lashon hara. Have you ever heard of lashon hara?
Talking?
Oh, yeah. because gossip, if you say rechiles, can be lashon hara, but it could be something not bad that you're saying about other people. But here in this case, you will see that they will call other people nudnikes, and that's not nice. So I would say this is lashon hara. Lashon hara literally means something like the bad tongue, yeah, the tongue of the evil. Das ist nicht gut, ja. Das ist nicht gut, das ist nicht schön. It would be something like ill-natured gossip, yeah, bad gossip. We have this session here on the 14th, and our next class will only be at the 28th.
I'm very proud of myself because Okay, I only took 3 notes during that class, but all of my notes I took in cursive Yiddish. I'm not going to be able to really show you with this camera. It's not going to focus. I know it's not going to focus, but I was just proud of myself for, not just kind of panic transliterating, not just sticking to what I'm comfortable with. Yeah, so we're going to have another week off of class. Passover starts tomorrow. Who knew? I didn't. So I'm gonna have 1 week off of my normal class and 2 weeks off total of my conversation class, not having it tomorrow and not having it the next week. It'll be sad not having class. I've really appreciated everybody's kind responses to my first vlog. It was very nice. I've been, attempting to email my teachers in Yiddish. I have a Yiddish keyboard on my phone. I have a Yiddish keyboard on my computer. I initially downloaded the standard kind of Windows Yiddish keyboard, and it's like, oh, your keys correspond to random Yiddish letters. I'm like, I don't know which one corresponds with what, and I'm not interested in just memorizing positions of Yiddish letters. So I downloaded a different one. I think the program that I used is called Keyman, and then there was a Yiddish kind of add-on within that. And it's working great. It's working great where you just type the English, Latin letters, whatever, and the corresponding Yiddish letter will appear, which is just what I wanted. So that's great, and that will be in the description below if you want it as well. I'm happy to find that it's taking on this additional language has not been impacting my Japanese negatively at all. I still haven't accidentally spoken Japanese during my Yiddish class, which is great. And it's not taking away time from Japanese. If anything, it's motivating me to do more in Japanese. Don't ask me why, but it is. I appreciate you watching. If you haven't seen the first vlog, check out the description box. I will have the link to the first one in there. I actually have a playlist starting from when I was considering taking the classes through, present day. So there's a whole playlist you can check out. That will be in the description. And I hope you have a great Passover if you celebrate. I hope you had a great Passover. See you in the next one.